members
Got it.
that are, I don't see here yet on my screen anywhere, but we will go ahead and start. I see one coming on. We'll go ahead and start this meeting. So I will formally call the Oceano Advisory Meeting, the Oceano Advisory Council meeting to a start for October 21st, 2021. First thing on our agenda here is the roll call. So I will start with the roll call, and I'll start with myself, Aline Villa, Chair, present. Councilmember Varney,
Present.
Councilmember Castellanovo,
Here.
Councilmember Dury. I'm sure she'll join us soon. Councilmember White.
Here.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have the flag salute. So does anyone want to begin the flag salute? Being then, I'll start it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on our agenda, number 4, we got guest reports. So first one I have is county planning. I do know that we have someone here from county planning. Emmy, do you have a report or something you would like us, updates you would like us to know?
Yeah, so I'm hoping, just so you all are aware, to schedule a kind of semi-formal training to go over what the responsibilities are of each of the councils that I'm going to be providing liaisonship to, and kind of what that would look like for responses and how we're going to time that out for responses to projects that are either older or newer or anything like that. And so I just want to give you guys a quick little heads up of that if it's coming around, and hopefully we'll be able to get on everyone's schedule.
Do you have a date for that?
I beg your pardon?
Do you have a date for that?
We do not have a date right now. We are hoping to get some new planners first so we can kind of get our workload settled.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emmy. Next we have the sheriff. I don't think there's anyone from the sheriff, but I do see someone here from the CHP, Commander Klinenberg. Would you like to chime in with your report?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So for the month of September, we had 6 collisions. One of those was a DUI collision, and then we had one just regular, one DUI arrest not involving a collision. That's probably a better way to say that. The DUI collision occurred on 22nd Street, south of Paso Robles Street, and that was where a vehicle struck a parked vehicle. Of the remaining collisions, we had a non-injury collision at Paso Robles and 15th Street. We had a minor injury collision, vehicle versus bicycle. Well, let's see, that was on SR1 north of Coolidge. Again, minor injury in that. We had a non-injury collision, vehicle versus a motorcycle on SR1 south of Ocean Street. A non-injury collision also on Elm Street south of Paso Robles Street. Another non-injury collision on Beach Street west of 19th. That was a hit and run where a vehicle struck a parked vehicle and fled the scene with no description of that vehicle. And then also on Paso Robles Street at 15th Street, we had another non-injury 2-vehicle collision. Wanted to talk a little bit about Highway 1 in the vicinity of Contessa Coffee. We have set up a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we set up the radar trailer on the southbound side. We're looking to, in the next day or two, possibly tomorrow or Monday, we're going to set that up on the northbound side. It'll be out there for a week as well. In addition to that, we had what we call a special enforcement unit. That's basically just a fancy name for We send several units and saturate a specific location. We did it in the vicinity of Contessa Coffee there. And I don't know if you saw it, but on our social media posts, we had 37 enforcement contacts during the time that they spent out there. And those range from issuing citations to verbal warnings, and for speed and distracted driving, not wearing a seatbelt, things like that. And again, those all included that was all included in the 37 enforcement contacts. One thing also that we've talked about, and because I have messed it up so many times, is the signage on Highway 1 in front of Central Market. I spoke with Josh Milton from Caltrans because that is a state route there. What he explained to me is that they generally are responsible for the curb to curb, for the maintenance of curb to curb, and those signs that are on the sidewalk actually have County of San Luis Obispo stickers on them. So he's working it out with the county as far as who's actually going to place that sign that Councilmember Drury has requested. And so we're kind of just still working through a little bit of logistics on that process and get that no or parking sign end placed there on the that'd be the northbound side there in front of Central Market. So quite a bit of stuff there. Any questions for me this week or this month? I'm sorry.
I just have a appreciation to express to you and your officers who, got the sign out there and the enforcement. I would see the motorcycle officer there with his radar gun, and I gave him 2 thumbs up every time I came by. and actually got a lot of comments from people. I posted a picture of the speed sign on my Facebook page, and and I said, and plus you can say hi to the officer that's down the block, a couple blocks down there. And got a lot of appreciations back from people going like, it's about time. Yeah, great. I imagine when your officers see a finger in the air, it's usually not 2 thumbs up, but yeah, I think he was getting a lot of appreciations.
Well, I'll certainly agree with you. I get both. I get lots of fingers, and I've had both sides, good and bad. So yeah, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll continue to monitor that, and anything that comes up, we can revisit that. We certainly are always willing to revisit it if we need to. And I'm trying to keep it on periodically so that we can send us special enforcement units there, on a, I don't want to say regular basis, but on a rotational type basis, because we have a lot of areas that we concentrate on, certainly. So
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Have a great dinner.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
You're muted, Aline.
You're muted, Aline.
There we go. It just occurred to me, I felt guilty last time, and so I'm feeling guilty again because I forgot to do my 30 seconds or so of silence or minute of silence for Fred Collins. We all know that he passed away and how significant he was to this county, what a strong dunes and beach advocate, being the main leader of the northern tribe of the Chumash that he was. So can we have just a minute of silence for him?
Yes.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have the review and approval of minutes. I will give you 40 seconds or so to review the minutes if you haven't done so. Hopefully you all could access the minutes. Then I'll have someone motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
minutes have been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and it's passed. We now will go to our new business, and the first item that I have here is the Brillman Project Council vote. I know that we asked many questions and had all of them answered, or most of them that he could answer, what he could answer, to the best of his ability were answered. But we didn't vote. Do we want to vote, or do we want to wait to do a vote further on? What?
Well, I'm satisfied that with the comments that we presented to the county, do we have to vote to approve them or just agree that we're ready to send in the application or the, whatever it's called?
I've usually been doing a vote of approval, and then for those, like to say whoever disapproves, why they disapprove, just so they can have their way.
My question would be, my sense was that we finally at the end, it seemed like, well, my impression was that we supported the project and we sent in comments. I didn't recall a sense of that those comments were conditional, or getting a response to those comments was conditional on us supporting it. We weren't waiting for a response back from the owners.
Yeah.
So based on that, I would say I move that we support the Bell Ridge project.
Go ahead and second it then.
Okay, it's been moved in second. So I'll do a roll call vote
Discussion.
or discussion, just trying to see if April, she's texted me. Can you check to see if she is, I don't
Not
see
here.
her.
No, Mr. Sharp is here though, with that other project.
Yes.
Oh, mhm. Do we see April? I don't see her.
She's not in the waiting room.
Yeah, she's stuck in traffic somewhere. So I guess we'll do without her vote. So we'll do a roll call. So Aline Via Chair. I support, yes vote. Councilman Member Barney,
Yes.
Council Member Casanova.
No,
Would you like to give a brief sentence or two as to the no vote, or?
as I said last time, I think the project is too dense, high density, not enough low income or affordable housing, not enough green spaces. There wasn't enough room for the fire truck, and the choice was to eliminate some space from the playground rather than maybe find another solution like 1 or 2 units less. The street is very narrow. It's going to be too busy and too crowded.
Okay,
I do support housing. I support affordable housing.
Thank you, Councilmember Casanova. Councilmember White.
I agree with all that Lucia says, but I'm gonna vote yes because we can't really stop it anyway.
Thank you, Karen.
So majority, we have a quorum in the majority, so it strongly passes. So support for this project. Okay. Next, that'll be reflected in our minutes. So next, on our new business, we have the Silva project. And we do have someone here from the Silva project. And also we have County Planner Emmy, who is also here to answer questions. So who would like to start this discussion?
I'd like to hear from the applicant if
Yes,
you
good
have
idea.
anything to say.
Well, we'd just really like to be able to improve the house that's already existing there on Strand Way, and to make it a family vacation spot for our family, our grandkids and children to enjoy for many years to come. We love the community. We love being down there, and we hope to become a part of your community. So Are there specific questions you have for us about the house?
Councilmember Casanova?
Yes, hi. Maybe not specific about your place, but it might be relevant. I went to see the place and I forgot right now what exactly looks like. But I walk Strand Avenue often and I see that some homes have 2 or 3 feet kind of a narrow tunnel that from the Strand that goes to the beach. That it seems like some houses have left that space. Some houses, some owners have fenced it off and included it in their property. Some have built very close. So I wonder if Amy or you, since I think there is a space next to your place, right? A kind of an opening that goes from Strand Avenue. And I like that. I remember during COVID when cars couldn't drive on the beach, a lot of people parked somewhere and they accessed the beach through those openings, those very narrow alleys in between the homes. Now, I wonder if those are mandated by the county, if those are access ways, if those are, I don't know what to call them, but what about the space next to your house? Is it it's on your property?
Along the south side of our property, there's I'm not positive, but I think it's a full lot. There's a fire hydrant and that is access where people walk down that. That is not part of our property, but it is an access point to get down to the beach.
So it's an empty lot though.
I think the city of Oceana owns it. I am not sure. I don't know that answer.
I can
No.
clarify that if you would like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find out. And also, my question is, are those easements to access the beach, or can a property owner take it over and fence it off? But some people have put a gate. There is still the alley, but some people have put a gate so people cannot go to the beach.
Right. So there are minimum access standards dictated by the California Coastal Commission for basically in the Coastal Act for how many accesses we have along the beach. And that next to this residence is one of them. And it's actually a county maintained piece of land for that. So if you see any encroachment into there, that's definitely more of an issue. But I know for this project, and I think a few others, we have a setback requirement for Strandway that's 10% of the lot frontage. So for this project, they'll have 3.5 feet on either side that they're required to maintain. And they can fence that off if they want to, or they can keep it open either way. And you may be seeing that possibly further down. I can't speak exactly to it, but if you see any that you think are public access ways that are fenced off, feel free to submit some interest forms for that.
Yes, Amy, excuse me, I can't hear well. So you said that 10% what on Strand Avenue, on Strand,
Yeah, there's a 10% side setback requirement. So it's 10% of the lot width of whatever faces the street. So if it's a 50-foot lot, it's a 5 foot on either side requirement.
Okay. And that space, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't mean that space has to be an access to the beach. No.
Right, that's still private property, but the one next to this house is an open space for public access.
Great,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Emmy, is there signage there indicating that that's beach access?
Bravo.
Yes,
Is
there may be and there may not be. It depends on when they last maintained it, because the requirements for that are based on when the maintenance occurs.
Like,
So if they,
As far as there is no signage there
no
that
signage.
says access, no.
Okay, and it may also, just so you are all aware, it may also just be something that was obtained either recently or hasn't been officially dedicated as an access point. But as I know it, it's not a private lot by any means. It's a public space there.
There is a fire hydrant on it,
There's
so
who is the responsible party to put a sign there?
So it depends. If the underlying land is privately owned, then it would be anyone who develops the private land. If it is publicly owned, then it would be the public agency who's in charge of that maintenance. I believe that these are public streets and roads that run through there. So it'd be the county
Okay,
maintained roads, so Public Works.
okay, thank you. Karen has her hand up.
I was just going to add that the fire hydrant, which is often covered in sand, is maintained by the Oceana Community Service District and dug out so that we can keep it going. And that's an ongoing task for OCSD's crew.
Maybe we can make it a condition of approving the project that Mr. Silva is out there digging out the hydrant.
Yeah.
Lot of digging already. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Do we have any other questions on the project?
No.
Okay, so I'll do my final comments. I'm really happy to know that it's going to be a family second home and not a vacation rental, because we have so many of them. And I'm sure everything will be, everything will be looked over by other agencies for compliance. Welcome to Oceana.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending this meeting. I think your project, County Planner Emmy Sugiyama, I avoid her last name because it's so long, and I think she's almost ready to approve the project. I think as a council, we are ready to take a vote on this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with myself. Myself, Chair Villa, yes. Roll call vote. Councilmember Barney,
Yes.
Councilmember Casanova,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Councilmember Dury. Councilmember Dury, I thought I saw Councilmember Dury. There she is. You're muted, Councilmember Dury. Well, she's here. She's not hearing us, I guess. Councilmember Dury, you are muted.
Okay, well, let's move on.
All right. I thought I heard something like whispers. Okay, so majority approves, so it strongly recommended. Does County Planner Emmy want to give any final comments?
No, I think that's it. I think I heard a 4 with 1 abstaining for absence, recommendation of approval for that vote. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
So she doesn't need to do it. Do they need to do something to speed up the process or anything?
No, so all that's going to happen is that you'll just send me either an email or a letter or however you're wanting to respond, noting that that was your vote and that was the outcome of this meeting. And then I'll go ahead and put that in the file. And right now we're actually for this project, so the applicants and you all can be aware, we're just waiting on a referral back from our land use committee for the airport land use planning area.
Okay.
Routine.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Silver, for attending. We have Mr. Silver, who was with his long, beautiful beard there, kind of silent, but I did notice you in attendance. Thank you for attending, and we will be submitting that to the county.
Well, thank you, council,
I
for
appreciate it.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to meeting you.
Thank you.
Me too.
So we can,
Welcome to stay or not.
Feel free to leave if you
all
want.
right, thank you.
My grandkids want to stay all the time.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye,
And-
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
I see in attendance, the project, the SHARP project on Pier Avenue was supposed to be on our other agenda. I did not know that he was going to show or to this meeting, so I did not place him on the agenda. Would we like to discuss, include him? since he's
I
here?
certainly would. I mean, the
Sure. Yes.
gentleman's here, so let's,
Okay, the majority. Okay, so then we
and
will, I
we
guess,
just can wait and act on it at the next meeting on it.
yes.
We'll certainly hear him.
Yes.
If he
All
hears
right.
us.
Okay. Does anyone want to start discussion, or should we just have him start talking about his project?
I think he should start talking if he can hear us. I don't know that he can.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry I wasn't at the last meeting. Believe it or not, I just forgot about it. That's the truth. I got busy in the day-to-day operations and just flew by. I remembered the following day. So I appreciate, I got a call from Charles again today telling me about this meeting. So that's why I'm here today. Anyways, so I'm working currently on I have a couple phases to this project, and it's at 306 Pier Avenue, which it used to be a candy shop slash restaurant slash retail facility that was ran by the current owner of the property. And he somewhat retired, so I was able to lease the building from him. I have not purchased it. And with the intention of, we have several other restaurants in San Luis Obispo County. I'm from Paso Robles. I grew up in the area. And when COVID hit, we have one of our portions of our company is mobile, which means we go to events all over the country, some of the largest events in the country, and we have all this high dollar equipment that I was originally trying to place it somewhere, and that's how Oceano came up. And I thought, well, maybe I could service the people on the beach or going to and from the beach, and that was the whole idea. And as it kind of evolved and looking at the building and looking at the location, I kind of rolled that into a restaurant, which is what I'm working on now. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Emmy, that we're here talking about the concession side, which meant that, I would like to bring in some equipment on weekends, whether that's catering trucks or something to that an avenue, but not long-term, right? I don't necessarily want to do this every day, 7 days a week out there, mostly on the weekends, holidays, and this, that, and the other. With the eventual plan, which I have plans submitted to the county right now, as far as improving the restrooms and the parking lot and, creating an actual restaurant called Hash Browns is what the concept is called. The idea is to have breakfast and lunch on the beach and possibly dinner if the volume is there to be had. But so that's where I was at with this. And so the whole idea was to bring in some, whether it's a catering truck, our equipment is kind of elaborate. And that's why I needed a permit for this, because it's trailers, similar to where you'd see at the county fairs, bigger stuff. It takes several days to set this thing up. It's not drive it in, close it up, and drive it out. So that was where the dilemma came in, because if I'm not mistaken, we can get the license to just roll in to the private property for 2 days a week with a, let's say, catering truck. But if we wanted to use any of the bigger equipment, for example, we have, I don't know if any of you saw it, but I had a trailer there that was just parked there. We weren't using it. And it was Pismo's Pizza and Clam Chowder House, which sells pizza and chicken sandwiches and this, that, and the other. I never used it. I just set it up there because I didn't have the permits to use it. So that equipment has a little bit bigger footprint, a little bit more sophisticated power operation. It hooks up to water and sewer and all this stuff, versus a truck that is all self-contained, rolls in, and usually leaves that night and then comes back the next day. So whether this happens or not, I'm not sure of my, I definitely don't want to be rolling this in equipment in and out for the rest of my life. Remember, that was my intention during COVID. Now COVID's almost over and we're still talking about this. But it would be a nice option even with the restaurant. So for example, again, the restaurant's called Hash Browns. We're updating everything. We're actually spending, a substantial amount of money to bring it all up to current codes and definitely fixing the parking lot and all those kinds of things once we get the permits. But also on the bigger weekends, holiday weekends, do we have an option to bring in this bigger equipment and service the crowds? That's the whole idea behind the mobile side of it. The restaurant side, I don't think is an issue. It's pretty standard procedure. We'll have a small dining room in there, hopefully have some seating on the outside and just servicing the people as a restaurant. We feel that it's kind of underserved over there as far as food service goes. We have been operating carts, which we got approved by the health department to have carts, because we turned it into a commissary for now until we can get the restrooms updated and this, that, and the other to where we can have people inside. But we are approved for that. We have the licenses for that. So now this is just the next step for that. So that pretty much is what I'm trying to accomplish. Did I answer anything or create a question?
Lee, do you want to take questions now?
Yeah, sure.
Does anybody want to start with the questions?
I don't have any.
I have a, go ahead, Councilman Barney.
I think a concern that I've heard expressed, Mr. Sharp, is and I know it's a concern of yours, that there's not very much parking there. Certainly your on-site parking, I think, is like 3 spaces or so. And I would imagine if you open a restaurant, the county would require you to have those 3 spaces for customers, which would preclude you from parking a carnival wagon there. But I mean, I don't know your business and what's going on with the county around it. But I'll just speak for myself. I am concerned about parking on Pier Avenue, not just for your restaurant, but for people that come down to walk on the beach. Right now, and especially, I think I mentioned to you one day in a conversation that you can't park there with before 9 a.m. in the morning. And that's going to preclude me from coming down and getting a 2-egg whole wheat toast with hash browns breakfast, because I like to eat before 9 a.m. like a lot of people do. And we have been frustrated in trying to get that changed because the state parks say they need to have that open during those times all week in order to be cleaning sand out, which is one of the situations that may change in July when Pier Avenue shuts down as a beach access. There won't be very much sand coming out on the beach, and that may be a time that we could work together to see about getting those times changed. But still, the parking's really limited there, and so that's a big concern. I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
Well, yeah, parking's a concern in the future and probably right now. I'm a little unsure of what the rules and regulations are. Everybody around me, in other words, the streets and the other parking lot across the street, but it's definitely a problem. And so I believe that the plans or the plan that I submitted has, I don't know, 3 or 4 parking spaces in it, just due because that's all the space we have. So, I mean, it's not a new building. The building was there, the parking lot's there. So however the county directs me to fix that problem, whether I have no seating and it just becomes a takeout place or whatever the options might be. I'm just unsure of that, just because I don't know what the what the problems would be. I mean, I only have so much space. The building's there. I think it's zoned correctly, and it can be somewhat of a food service facility. I guess it just depends on what that looks like. So that's, but Emmy, am I wrong that on private property you can have a San Luis Obispo County catering truck and park on that property? Or how does that
Yeah,
work?
let me go ahead and go over kind of where this is coming from in terms of how we're going to be permitting it, because there are a few kind of odd things about this one. We don't have all of the same permitting requirements that we usually see. It's not the most straightforward. So what we understand the project as, since your resubmittal is a truck coming in and parking on a vacant portion of the lot, not anything that would disrupt the parking that's currently there and would serve for the restaurant that they're also proposing. And then that being a temporary use, and the time that they take to set up would be seen as storage time, and not active use time, because they are limited to 2 days per week for that, for sales from a vehicle. And so they're able to store vehicles on the commercial property that they have, especially vehicles for vending. And they're also able to have a restaurant for that same building that's there currently. And so those are the two things that are not required to have any sort of what we call a minor use permit or a discretionary permit associated with them. Now, the discretionary portion comes in when we have them operating those vehicles in the coastal area. And so now we have a coastal appealability, and we have to do our development permit or coastal development permit there. So that's kind of where our permitting process steps in. As for the small carts that you have on the street, since they are operating within the street, that's something that Public Works typically handles for encroachment onto publicly maintained roads. So all of that being said, the things that we're looking at now and the things that kind of pose concerns are definitely parking for us. They have 3 spaces there. They've operated different facilities in that building, and we've historically allowed those operations to occur. If it's practical and whether it's not is something that the community would definitely have to comment on, because what would be required for this is an adjustment to parking standards, and we'll be working with the applicant to try and design, as he mentioned, because we have had this conversation before, of kind of what use areas would be, because we require, I believe it's 1 parking space for every 100 square feet of kitchen area, and 1 parking space for every 60 square feet of customer area. And so if we have a lot of customer seating and that's permanent seating there, that's a lot of parking that we just don't have on that site, and we do not have on the street. And it would be a determination made by the hearing officer for a modification to the parking standard at that point. So hopefully that provides a little clarity.
And then the other option is, no seating or whatever that might be. I'm just trying to figure it all out as I go along, like what the guidance is.
Yeah. And so we'll be
I mean,
hopeful we'll
it's
be
a
able
very
to.
small building as it is, right? Which is
Yeah.
kind of the challenge.
Yeah, and so what I'm just so everyone's kind of aware of my intent of this meeting, I'm hoping that you all can provide some input on what you think of the parking in the area. It was great insight to know that it's restricted until 9 a.m. That's fantastic to know, because then we know it wouldn't be reasonable to ask for an accommodation if they are planning on operating outside of those hours. And so things like that, those comments again will come back through this meeting, will come back through your commentary, and will be considered as we go through to try and see if this adjustment would work, to see how the design might need to be changed, and to continue on there. So if we even come out of this meeting with just more questions, that's a-okay. Hopefully that starts you off with the next thing though.
Can't
Any
hear
other
you.
discussion? Questions? concerns?
Yeah, Karen White, my concern is if he actually can, if it's feasible to even go forward with all the restrictions and the lack of parking. You know, I mean, I commend the gentleman whose food is good. And we need food service in that area, but you know, there's a lot of difficulty, and you know, you wonder why anyone would go ahead and try to put a restaurant there at this point in time. That's my question. I understand, you know, with COVID, he was, you know, making opportunities to keep your businesses afloat. So that's just my thinking.
Any other comments?
Yes. Well, you know, things are changing. They're changing, and they will change even more drastically, because the parking situation is a situation that the county must take on as a priority, not just for this, because of this particular business that seems to be impossible to take off. Unless he has parking, but because of the entire population that will go to the beach, that will not be able to drive on the beach anymore, will have to park somewhere on Pier Avenue or nearby. And it just aggravates me that the off-road division, the state parks, is dictating a lot of what's going on Pier Avenue. And the county has let that happen. So Amy, I would like you to be the conduit, the liaison, and to pass on my venting and my state parks owns some lots on Pier Avenue, owns some empty lots, which state parks could very well use for parking, for their use, or for smaller parking structures to accommodate pedestrian access to the beach. So far, state parks has only accommodated vehicular visitors, but since there will not be vehicles anymore in 3 years, state parks will have the responsibility to provide pedestrian access, and that includes parking. So I see that the restaurant could take off eventually. We do need places to eat. There will be a lot of people walking Pier Avenue. If they can't drive on Pier Avenue anymore, the way it is now, they will walk on Pier Avenue. They will walk between the beach and their parking spot. So they will eat, they will shop, and they will use our local business on Pier Avenue. So I would say that do not give up this idea completely, but let us work on getting more public parking on Pier Avenue, and that is going to help everybody. And we need to keep us, and we need to include the state parks in this conversation, because for example, the morning parking on Pier Avenue, I tried to get out of state parks. When exactly do you sweep the street? When we need. And you know, that means that here we are taking public parking until 9 o'clock, maybe for just 20 minutes of sweeping the street. So we need to keep state parks accountable and for what it does, and free those parking spaces. Maybe make him sweep every other day rather than every day. Maybe. So anyway, I'm positive for the future. Right now, it's a very difficult situation. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Casanova. Anybody else? Is Charles?
Yes, thank you. I just want to point out that the Oceano Advisory Council has officially created a task force on Pier Avenue. That has not yet been activated, but that's going to be happening relatively soon. And this is a discussion group made up of interested persons from the community and from the advisory council. And business owners in Pier Avenue are certainly welcome to participate in that group. And Mr. Sharp, if you're interested in that, I can, put your name on a notification list for that and let you know when we're going to start meeting, because there are, Lucia's points are well taken. And I don't know how long you can hang in until your little gem, gets all polished up down there. But certainly there are changes coming to Pier Avenue. And it'll be the most quickly approaching change as it closes to vehicle traffic on July 1st of next year. So between now and then, we hope that we can have some ideas in discussion with state parks and with the county that can make a difference, at least with more parking opportunities.
Okay.
Lane?
See, Karen wants to speak.
Councilmember White?
Yes, I had a question for Ms. Amy. What is the status, what is the plan for the county's parking lot? You know where the county's parking lot is there?
I know where it is, but I cannot speak to the plan for use or any future use of that. I could definitely submit a request for information to our Public Works Department, but I'm not sure of it right now.
Because that's such a mess, and it has so potential. I mean, there's what 30, 40 cars can get in there if it was properly engineered and paved and maintained.
Mhm.
Where
And
is
that's right.
this? Where
Huh?
is it, Karen? Where, Karen?
The county parking lot, right
Where?
across, it's the
Right.
parking lot down there on Pier Avenue. That is not state parks, that is county. The parking lot right there by the restroom belongs to the county. Does not belong to state parks.
The lot
Is that
about,
correct? Isn't that correct, Emmy? You don't know?
I believe that was the county parking lot
Yeah,
you're referring to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the parking lot next to what? The liquor store?
No,
no, the one that's right by the beach,
the end of Pier Avenue.
the end of Pier
Oh.
Avenue on the north side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
Okay,
only
okay.
parking lot that's down there.
Oh, no, oh, yes, that one. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. I agree with you. The county needs to fix it up, repair it, extend it, and yes, absolutely. No,
Well,
I'm talking about the empty lot next to the liquor store. That belongs to state parks.
Yeah,
And state parks could make it into a day use of just for parking. So, go ahead.
I think the state parks has a plan, or at least they had a plan that was presented to trade that for another piece of property behind and put more of those temporary trailers that they rent out as cottages. And I believe they were gonna take that on down, and then the property behind was gonna be traded. So I don't know what the status of that is.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe Emmy knows. No,
Unfortunately not. Sorry.
yeah.
Any more comments?
Mhm.
And then I'll just do my final comments. Again, parking, what everybody else said, echoing. I'm very happy that you are putting a good food business there. We need that. But the county does need to step up on the parking. I don't think it's fair that business people that want to, put a business there on Pier Avenue, like Mr. Sharp, are punished in any way. He is being grandfathered in with those spaces, but with his truck there, I don't know, if he's required, he shouldn't be prevented from having a truck there to survive till he gets his restaurant going because of lack of parking. That is really not his fault. And it's kind of like the county is letting us down in state parks on the parking there. They do need to expand that parking and make it so that more people will be interested in having businesses there, especially with the closure that's coming soon. Remember we need to remember the COVID closure. We had a lot of people still came to our beach, and they accessed our beach through our beach street there. So we had a lot of pedestrian foot traffic there. And it was crazy on the nice holiday weekends, crazy. You had to park like half a mile away by the duck park to walk. So just let the county know, and hopefully, Mr. Sharp will, let that be known to the county that it's going to close soon, and we do need parking there.
Well, just my 2 cents is, I understand, but I'm just a little guy trying to make a little business, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this whole parking thing is a huge conversation and comment and investment and this, that, and the other. I'm just, what I'll need, Emmy, is just tell me what can work there. I mean, if I can only sell bubble gum, we'll sell bubble gum. I mean, if we can't do mobile stuff, we'll just continue it on the inside. I mean, so that's kind of what I need to know. What is my option with, my 3 or 4 parking spaces that I have just due to the size of the lot, not because I don't want parking. So
Okay,
I
and
don't know what else to say.
yeah, I'm just gonna jump in here. Mr. Sharp, if you wanna, we can set up a meeting and we can go over kind of what the options would look like. And perhaps then we'll be able to kind of reconvene with this group where I can bring back the comments that we come up with to see what they would be more open to, if anything, because the parking issue is a larger issue than just your project, as they've noted here. And so they can include comments for this project relating to the larger issue, and we can definitely submit them to the record so we have that tracked. But if you want this to kind of move forward and see what other options, let's go ahead and set up a meeting and see if maybe they can also support some of those ideas and recommend their approval of maybe some other thing there.
That would be great, just so
Sure.
I know which direction to
Yeah.
go with it,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about sweeping the streets and all that, I have no idea how to answer all that.
Right.
No, it's not really your responsibility to answer it, Mr. Sharp. It's just, this is just the situation that you have
Yeah.
moved into. And believe us, I mean, we would like to see it resolved as much as you would, maybe even more.
Okay. So Emmy, how should I do that? You want to send me an email and,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll reach out to you after this meeting.
okay, perfect.
Mhm.
All right. What else? What do I need to do now? Or,
You can go and have dinner.
oh, okay. Well, thank you, Charles, for contacting me. I apologize for last week, and I'll do whatever I can to help out Oceano.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bob.
right. Thanks.
All right. Next, it was brought to my attention that maybe we should move up the state parks response letter to talk about it next on our, to kind of amend our agenda so that we thoroughly discuss it, because we didn't get to it last time. So does anyone want a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I guess I can start the discussion on this. I thought the letter, I wasn't expecting that response. I was hopefully, though I wasn't surprised. I was hopefully expecting like them to say, sure, we agree with you. We want to meet with you. We need to get going, but it didn't. That letter just sounded like, let's put it off, let's table it. We're going to do our own thing. So I was disappointed.
Mhm. Well, I would agree with you, Aline. And I think all of us on the council know what letter we're talking about. I don't know if Emmy or Miss Monahan does, but I don't know, was Emmy CC'd in that? But this was a letter with a follow-up letter to state parks about parking issues on Pier Avenue. And suggestions for utilization of other parking possibilities that you've heard put out this evening in our discussion with Mr. Sharp. And the answer from State Parks, in my opinion, it was just simply a form letter, somewhat sounding like it was personalized, but it was very generic and basically said, you know, yes, we're interested in public input and we're in the planning stages, and any new ideas take at least anywhere from 3 to 10 years to, you know, become realities if they do, if we agree with it. And, you know, don't call us, we'll call you, was kind of it's kind of the brush off is what it felt like to me.
I see that Miss Monaham's hand is up.
Mhm.
Hello. Yes, I was letting you guys know that I appreciate being invited to the meeting. I know that I'm not having to do with this subject. I'm one of Mr. Sharp's managers, and I was working and listening, and I wasn't able to say anything, but I just like to say thank you for inviting me, and I will see you guys at the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
for attending.
Thank you.
Lucia has her hand up.
And
Go
that's
ahead,
my chicken. Her name's Chiclet.
I had a chicken named Chicken Fajita.
Well, I would like to refer to that quote.
Oh, Lord, Jiminy Christmas. Hold on, baby. I know. I'm so sorry. This is driving me crazy.
What?
Okay, Miss Monahan was commenting to someone. She just muted
Okay,
herself.
yes. So I would like to refer to that quote by the Coastal Commission that I sent you. By July 1st, 2021, Pier Avenue entrance shall be eliminated and the area restored to a natural shoreline edge with bike in, hike in, and equestrian access and typical beach area public access amenities. In other words, for example, overlooks, benches, picnic tables, etc. Where all such changes shall be seamlessly integrated with state parks facilities and property near the end of Pier Avenue. For example, parking lot and restroom. And in my opinion, what we need to do, we simply need to invite state parks to our meeting. I don't think, in my opinion, I do not favor the big meeting task force approach that Charles seems to favor. I think the most important thing that we do right now is invite state parks and ask them, what are you doing to meet those goals that the Coastal Commission told you to meet by July 2021? And I think we should focus only on that for right now. The long terms, complete street and plaza and all of that is beautiful, but I think it should wait, and we shouldn't, we should leave it alone for right now, because the deadline is July 21 and we need to be ready with parking. Otherwise, there's going to be a big lashback, there is going to be a big, I don't know what to call it, but people are going to complain and say, I told you, you eliminated parking on the beach and now we don't have parking on Pier Avenue. So I think this is the most important thing we need to do. Actually, I had an idea. The Oceano Beach Community Association is writing a letter to state parks and inviting state parks to Oceano. Maybe the council could sign on to it, and we both, the council and the association, can have the state parks at the community center, like the association did a couple of years ago, and which was a wonderful turnout. It was a great thing. So that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Councilmember White?
I have 2 or 3 questions, sort of. First of all, I don't think anybody here with state parks is doing any of this planning. I think it's probably being done in Sacramento, which could be a complication. Number two, they're not going to do anything until after the beach is closed because they really can't. You can't develop something now that's going to stop people from doing something in 6 months. And the third thing is, what does Coastal Commission mean by natural state? Because the natural state is sand dunes, is a bank of sand dunes, is what was there before Pier Avenue was constructed. So how far back are they going? If they want it in a natural state, you can't put anything there because there won't be a road there. So, I mean, the road was put in 1890, but at that point, all of behind that road was sand dunes. You can look at the old pictures. It was all sand dunes. So is that what they're going to require? So, there's so many questions, big questions that you really can't even answer until July 1st. So yeah, you can talk about parking, you can talk about this, but are they going to close the road? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that, because that would be the natural state, would be to close Pier Avenue from the Lagoon Bridge, right on, or from Ocean View Park, Linda Street. Anyway, so that's just my thinking. I just, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
And I don't think they're going to tell us by reading their letter. Yeah, that was, don't call us, we'll call you a letter. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Charles's hand is up.
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, I guess maybe we just need to, my attitude is we need to knock on the door harder. And this is a public agency, and this agency has rules of accountability to the public. So this answer that we got is totally insufficient and inappropriate. As the recognized link to the County Board of Supervisors in Oceano, the OAC has standing to call out other agencies in an appropriate manner, and to schedule a meeting and to invite them to come and participate. That would include, I think, state parks, Coastal Commission, any interested businesses, residents from the county. I don't agree with Lucia that this is a single focus thing. And while nothing can be done project-wise really until the place is shut, the road, the vehicle entrance is shut down. Well, I mean, they could change the hours that they're closing the road down for sweeping, that's for sure. But in terms of structural stuff, I agree, nothing can happen. That doesn't mean we can't start the dialogue and start the planning. I believe state parks doesn't want to do anything until the off-road highway vehicle lawsuits are settled in the California Supreme Court. And I don't think that we should be waiting for that. The Coastal Commission has spoken. Things are going to start changing unless the courts intervene. So I'd like to move forward on with the Pier Avenue Task Force to start doing that work and bringing people to the table for discussion.
Support that, obviously. How much success we're going to have is the question.
Yeah, well, if we don't try, we won't have any.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I expect to see some kind of a move to suspend the date until after the courts are settled, and then there's 2 more years, and the game, the delaying game, and all the political stuff that certainly from this end, we're kind of don't have a lot of strength, but that doesn't mean we can't talk.
That's right.
Any other discussion? I don't know if April's still here in our meeting up. I don't know if she can participate. I don't think she can. But I guess I'll do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say one more little thing, the four of us, the five of us here, we all represent an individual and probably very different constituency. We all aren't just single people.
Mhm.
There are people within our circle that we also represent. So we're not just five people, just my thought. We're a bunch more people than five.
Mhm.
Completely agree with you, Karen. We represent, yes, the advisory council represents segment of Oceano for advising to the county.
Different segments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different segments, all of us
Yeah.
individually. And like I said, I was disappointed, and I do think that we can start, just like Councilmember Varney was saying, we can start planning the project, actually building it, like you said, Karen, that'll be when it gets closed down, everything gets figured out. But we can start talking and planning. We need to start planning now so that we can get things done in a reasonable time, because as it is, it's going to take, government takes quite a while, right? So if we don't start planning now, I could see this going on for years, 2 or 3 years, and we're still in the planning stage because we didn't start when we were supposed to.
Right.
Well,
What
Emmy's
are we
hand
gonna
is
do?
up. Emmy's hand is up.
Oh, yeah.
Emmy,
Sorry, and I'm hoping to kind of clarify this. I know there was some discussion about the Pier Avenue Task Force before, and Charles, please just to give me an overview. Is this for anything that you'd be working on with the Cal Poly group? Or
Cal Poly Group will be, I'm sure that they will be putting some time and energy into Pier Avenue.
okay, and would this be perhaps like a specific plan update, or would it just be another general report to be submitted for consideration?
Yeah,
If you don't know yet, that's okay. I'm just wondering if we had
I
that.
don't know, because I'm not sure what Cal Poly's doing, and they've already done there's been an update to the Pier Avenue specific plan that Cal Poly did a few years ago.
Mhm,
Well, actually 2018, I think.
mhm.
And which, talks about, land use preferences and stuff like
Right.
that. And there was some bit in there about an option with vehicles and options without vehicles. So, it was, there's some value there.
Mhm.
And the task force was simply to hopefully to bring together different parties interested in the future of Pier Avenue, and see hopefully what similarities we had, and then look at working on our differences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I wanted to know that because I understand Lucia's argument of kind of, bringing things forward now, having people come in to discuss things now. And I don't know how much discussion you've had on the Pier Avenue Task Force front, if any, or what the goals would be of that. And so those are just things that piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Ms. Chair, my hand is up and I take my time. The truth is that we do not have a task force on Pier Avenue. It has not been discussed by the council. It has not even been approved that we do have a task force.
That is not true. That is not true, Lucia.
Well, we haven't voted, Charles, so
Well, I mean,
we
do
haven't discussed.
Well, it's been on the agenda every month for months, and we've been talking about it. So how can you say we don't have a task force? that we at least have the concept.
Don't have a task force on Pier Avenue, do we? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
we do.
We do?
Well, we certainly spent enough time on it to have it. You were the one who proposed it, I think.
Me?
Yeah, you proposed it.
We never had a formal vote on it. It's been on the agenda.
But not even a discussion, because, for example, I wouldn't even call it a task force. I would like to call it, if your name is important, but I don't want to make a big deal. A stakeholder meeting. I think that's what we need more than for my idea of a task force is. We need a stakeholders meeting in which we, yes, we invite the people we think have a stake on this, and start planning and discussing. Whatever we call it, it doesn't matter. But we haven't, that I know, we haven't really put anything on paper on how to do it. I thought we were going to do it tonight, or we will eventually get to it on what we're going to do.
Councilmember White?
Yeah, sitting and talking, Lucia, you're asking people to sit and talk about something we don't know about. You can't, okay. And if you talk about stakeholders, that is the property owners. So the
Yes.
meeting, so it needs to be the property owners need to
Yes.
organize.
Yes, businesses and state parks and county.
But what is our nexus to stakeholders? You might be a stakeholder, I'm not. But the
as I
OAC is empowered to look at things and approve them or not approve them, or maybe create them if we can. But I personally see this organization as a part of something, but I don't see this organization forming a task force. If we want to go ahead and form a task force, that's one hell of a big job. And that's, and I'll guarantee that I got my own little stakeholder fire situation that I'm not going to be able to work on Pier Avenue. But I'm just saying, we need to look at what we're talking about and what we want to do. Have a clear picture. Charles presented a clear picture of what a task force or any kind of an organization would look like. I got a copy of that. I printed it out. And that was after you talked about forming a task force. That's where I heard it first, was from your lips. So we need to decide first, before we start discussing the pros and cons of all this, if we're going to do it and how we're going to do it and how it could be funded.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, but yeah. So you can't just say, well, we sit and talk. We can, talk's cheap. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not very pleasant sometimes.
So,
Thank you.
I don't, whether you want to call it a meeting of stakeholders, and Karen, I think that, people on Pier Avenue definitely are stakeholders, but the stakeholders are the entire community of Oceano. The stakeholders are people in South County. It's people who go to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm less interested in what Adam Verdin wants than I am with what the larger population of Oceano wants, and not that they would necessarily be different, but getting the stakeholders together. I don't know any other way to start. Do best bring people to the table, and then ultimately the people that show up are the ones that talk about what they want to bring forward, and they bring it forward into the pathways that are available to us as citizens or advisory council members. And I think that we need to get started on that. I think we should wait until July 1st.
What's the difference between the task force and a stakeholder meeting?
those two different phrases in my mind. You don't seem comfortable with the notion of a task force, which to me implies it's a group of people coming together to work on addressing issues and problems
To make
that
something happen.
they're collectively interested in, with the idea of doing something about it, not just talking about it. If you want to call it a stakeholders meeting, you know.
No, as I say, if it's just a question of a name,
Well, I think we have an example of how that concept works successfully with the curb gutter, sidewalk, and flood control task force. What Oceano did was it got different parties involved who had authority to do something and got a conversation going. And, you know, somewhat remarkably and wonderfully, that has turned into, you know, something that has great potential to bring great good to our community. But what? Why are you shaking your head at that, Lucia?
excuse me?
Why are you shaking your head at my comments?
No, don't take it personally. I'm just thinking
I'm
it's a
taking
big
it
job.
personally, I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking it's such a big job, and I was thinking, where would I start? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't your comments. It was just the immensity, enormity, and I was thinking, well, who would we invite? I mean, I was gonna make it really simple and just invite Kevin Pierce. I know decisions must be made in Sacramento, but Kevin Pierce represents Sacramento right here. He is the superintendent, so he's the one who is accountable. Okay, to answer one of your questions, Karen. So is to bring Kevin Pierce to Oceano, to the community center, to listen to what our concerns are. Okay, so, and the concerns of the Oceano associations right now, I represent the association in this council, are mostly parking. We are not concerned with the revitalization. We are not concerned with huge constructions. We do not want to have anything to do with Cal Poly revitalization plan. We just want to have more parking right now because it seems to be the most important thing. And there are things that state parks can do right now. It doesn't have to happen after July 1st. They can do it right now. For example, they need to revisit the sweeping of the sand. If it doesn't happen every day, in those days in which it doesn't happen, there should be parking. The north side of Pier Avenue between Juan's Cantina and the campground could all be public parking. Why isn't it? It's off limits, no parking. That's something the state parks could do. Why do they keep it no parking? Then to dedicate a certain area of the campground to their use, that's something they can do before July 1st. So the Oceano Association is making a list of things, very, very specific suggestions that can be done easily without involving the Coastal Commission, without involving anybody, just for state parks. Okay, and that's what we want to address right now. So maybe I guess maybe the difference between my vision and Charles, it's not a content vision, but more kind of a form, kind of how to get there. I want to focus on short terms because maybe it's what we need by July 1st.
Well, then I hear that, and I support that. You doing that. We're not in an Oceano Beach Community Association meeting here. This is the Oceano Advisory Council.
Right.
So your agenda for your nonprofit organization is not necessarily the agenda for Oceano Advisory Council. So I'd like, just in respect to our time, to not hear about what you're planning to do with Oceano Beach Community Association, but stick with what's going on here. And I don't think it's appropriate to invite Kevin Pierce to come and sit in a room while 25 people tell him what he's doing wrong and what he needs to do. I want to have a relationship and a dialogue and with Kevin Pierce. I don't know how far that will go, and with the Coastal Commission and with representatives from the county to talk about, sit down, civilly talk about these situations and these kinds of ideas that you have in terms of what can be done short term, what could be done long term.
Yeah, that sounds good too.
Karen?
Why doesn't the Oceana Beach Community Association just go ahead with what they're doing and just keep pushing forward on that specific issue?
Yes.
Just, and rather than have a total group, that would be something they could just work on, and when they needed the support of the members of this group, you could whistle and we'd come put some weight behind it if we could. Or we could, as a group, vote to support what the Oceana Beach Community Association is doing. And it might be easier, it might be actually easier, maybe even smarter with a specific thing and a specific group that has a specific focus to that end. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a suggestion.
Yeah, I hear you.
I like that, Karen, because it shows another agency, the quasi-government supporting, making the argument stronger.
Yeah. And they got their foot in the door, we join them.
So, yeah, I kind of hear everyone's comments, and I think like what Lucia was saying, that it seems like it just calling in a task force and having all this time and energy involved in it is a little overwhelming to her. And to me too, because it seems like I'm already involved in all these other things that just, and Charles is so involved and he needs support. We're just too small. I almost feel like if we had twice the amount of people, I think it would be easier.
And, you know, there may be a time down the road, and maybe sooner than we know, that when we get an inkling of what is going to be done down there, then we could form a big task force if it was not to this community's liking. I don't know what they're going to do, because they could close Pier Avenue.
Which would be just fine.
Well, there's yes and no.
It is going to be closed.
Well,
you mean no vehicle all the way to the campground, basically? No, after the campground.
Yeah, from the campground onto the beach.
I mean, you know,
the sandy trail.
The Coastal Commission quote, it was just, I think you maybe are interpreting it a little bit too narrowly. It just talks about overlooks, benches, picnic tables. So I think that
it doesn't say anything about commerce. It says natural state.
About what?
Commerce. It says nothing about commerce. It says picnic benches and trails in natural state. Well, natural state sand dunes.
It just means where the ramp is. When the cement ramp and the gate, it means get rid of the gate, get rid of the cement ramp, and let the dunes go back to their natural state the way during COVID was. That's all.
Or maybe from when it was, you know, in 1880.
Okay, so we're like 7 minutes till 7, and this discussion, do we want to just?
I would like to see it kept on the agenda.
Kept on the agenda.
Do we want to answer this letter? It doesn't have to be. I would like to answer this letter. Yes, and just says, yes, I would like to answer this letter and say that we suggested that we demand, and not just we suggest that we get together. And Charles, let's add some of those other organizations that you think should be there. Let's organize this meeting and let's hear who is going to be there, who is not going to be there.
Okay.
This is to be a meeting,
Not
not of Oceano Advisory Council. OAC would host this meeting.
Yeah, right. The OAC will host the meeting, and we invite Kevin Pierce, we invite St. Parks, we invite Compton, we invite a member of the Coastal Commission, of the staff, okay?
chamber?
What would we tell them? What would we ask? What's the issue that we would talk about at this meeting?
That,
The future of Pier Avenue.
yeah, how are we getting to meet that deadline? That we are concerned that the line is not being met, that plan is not be seen, that we don't see any planning, that the coastal commission. Okay, so if you people remember, staff recommended closing Pier Avenue this July 1st this year. Instead, the commissioner said, no, let's give them time. And the commissioner changed it and gave them a year of time to transition. So this year is a bonus the state parks got to transition, to get ready.
Mhm.
And we, the people of Oceano, see that they're not getting ready. And we want to know from the county and state parks what they're doing.
What steps they're taking for a smooth transition?
Yes, for you to use this year that the Coastal Commission gave them to transition.
Mhm.
Is that what you have in mind for a task force, Charles?
Exactly.
Okay, then let's do that. Mhm. So I mentioned the Compton, invite Kevin Pierce, invite a member of the commission staff, right? And who else?
We can invite him.
County planning or county
Mhm.
Yeah.
because of the parking lot there.
Mhm.
To invite the chamber,
Who?
the chamber, or
The
not?
chamber?
No.
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 I recommend this meeting happen after the first of the year. Just because it's too early to connect it to November. We've got COVID, people can't
Yes.
travel still.
Yeah,
And I think after December 31st, life is going to be a little rosier. I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
yes, I agree, Karen.
Okay. Okay. So we leave it on the agenda for next. Well, people, those agencies are very busy agencies, and it's going to take some big effort to get them to sit down and. So I mean, letters of invitations. I mean, requests for attendance should go out as soon as possible and follow up, follow through. So I think we need to get going
Mhm.
if we want to get it done.
Well, why don't you and I get together, Lucia, and come up with a proposal?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Great.
Make sure you get a hall first.
A what?
Date.
A what?
A hall before you get a date.
A
What's
hall.
Place to meet.
Oh, a hall.
Hall.
We can be
Please.
doing.
OCSD meeting room.
Won't hold them all, I don't think.
All right.
Okay, so do we need a motion for any of this? I'm glad we resolved it. I just think the word task force kind of scares some people.
It's really just nomenclature.
Stakeholders meeting sounds more, I don't know, just not as intimidating, just. But
How do people, most people walking the sidewalks in Oceano don't see themselves as a stakeholder, you know?
yeah. So.
But okay,
Interested parties. Interested parties.
Lucia and I'll make a couple proposals
Okay,
Okay.
for the title. Okay.
all right. I'm glad this is done and over with.
Okay, and we will have Charles and I will have a letter. We'll have an invitation. We'll have something ready for next time, and we will. Right, Charles? Probably we will do a draft to be discussed and hopefully voted next meeting.
Okay, yeah, we can work on that as part of it. Definitely.
So can we now have another motion to like?
I so move 15 minutes.
To amend for not the 15 minutes, it's not, well, yes, it's almost 16 minutes, but also to alter the agenda here so that we could talk about the next most pressing item that we need to discuss, I think it would be the Citizens for Preserving District 4 documents. And I think Charles will begin that conversation.
Okay, so move it all.
Then move it on.
Okay, well, so can we, I propose we extend the meeting for 15 minutes.
That's
Okay.
just what I motioned. Only I didn't say
I
it.
second your motion.
Thank you.
And then you would second the other
Yeah,
altering of the amendment also, Charles. So
and Emmy's got her hand up.
go ahead. Em.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to make sure if you didn't need any planning input, I'm gonna hop off here.
All right.
Perfect. You guys
Thank
have a
you.
good rest of your meeting.
Thanks for hanging out, Emmy.
Yeah, love it. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we
Bye,
got 15 more minutes, so let's go on with this. Charles?
So this position paper was put together specifically to make the point that the 4th district does not need any significant reorganization. For example, I think you all know that there has been a rumor rampant for months now that there was maybe going to be a move to remove Oceano out of the 4th district into the 3rd district and expand the 4th district into the Edna Valley Country Club. The maps, initial proposed maps for discussion came out yesterday. There are 4 or 5 different versions, and there is a version that leaves the 4th district pretty much intact as it is. The position paper speaks, I think, fairly eloquently to the reasons. These are the 5 criteria that the state has laid out for doing redistricting, and the facts and information have been presented clearly. I think it is in the interest of the Oceano Advisory Council to maintain the district largely as it is. And we can continue to do our work with Oceano, which is so connected to the rest of the 4th district. And I mean, if there's questions or comments that I can answer, I'd be happy to. I do think it is a relevant topic for the council to consider.
Anybody else want to continue the discussion?
Yes, I totally agree. I support the letter, and I support that the Ocean Advisory Council supports that motion.
I'll make a motion that the council approve the statement of citizens to preserve the 4th district and indicate such to the supervisor's office.
And I second it.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion?
Mhm.
Any more discussion? Just my comment is that I agree with Lucia, and I want it to stay the way it is. I see a lot the way our district is. There's a lot of common with the other neighboring communities, so I would like it to stay the way it is also myself. Not that we all dislike change a little, but in this case, I think change I really dislike it because I really see Nipomo and Oceano, just the way the district is having so much in common with ag and with the Latinos in this county. I just see it's like there's Latinos in Nipomo, there's Latinos in Oceano, there's agriculture in common. Let's just stick, and we're on the coast here. I like it the way it's set. So yeah, I also move that. I also agree that we should stay. So
I have to say,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I have to abstain because I don't know enough about it. I haven't looked at it enough and I'm not gonna make that kind of decision tonight.
Okay. Well, like I said, I do, I read the position paper and I've thought about it and I agree that, with everybody else that it should stay the way it is. So.
If it's not broken, don't try and fix it.
Exactly. Exactly. I really like the way the district is set up. So we have Karen abstaining.
Yes,
And
please.
then, so we still have a majority and we have a quorum. We have April here. I don't know how she would vote because she's not speaking. I'll take your vote by text, April, if you could hear me. You did text me before.
I hear something like, but
I think she's trying to. I heard whispers or something. I thought I did. So I don't know. I don't even, now I'm doubting whether she can hear me because she's a real fast texter, like a teenager. She'll get to right away and she's not texting me. So I'm even thinking, can she even hear me? Why is she still on there? Maybe it's just there, her name, but she's not there. I don't know.
okay, so whoever is here votes.
So yeah, so everyone's here. So well, let's do Karen's abstaining. Let's do I think this is a very important matter. So let's just do a voice of vote. So Chair Via, yes. Council Member Varney,
Yes.
Council Member Casanovo,
Yes.
and Karen
I think
abstains.
Karen abstains.
All right. So
Thank you.
so the OAC does. Okay, you can go ahead and stamp it with our approval, Charles.
Mhm.
All right. So if you want this to go out with logo and all that, just email me.
Okay. All
Right.
right.
Want that, if you require that, I don't know. Okay, next on our agenda here, we have the OAC fundraising anonymous donations. We didn't have a chance to speak about that last time. I don't know if we have much of a chance this time at 7:07, but we can get the discussion going. How we want to go about doing this.
I guess I would say that there is no anonymous donation to us. I don't think, or typically somebody sends a check in or does it by credit card, so we know who donates money. If that donor does not want their name to be part of a public record, I think we should respect that. So that's my thought about anonymous donors. If anybody has a question about the person, or it's the Proud Boys have donated to Oceano Advisory Council, and there's an ethical question, anybody's free to bring that up and have a discussion. I think we should respect anonymous donations. If you look at a list of donors to organizations, you'll see many of them are anonymous.
Well, if PPC requires in a political campaign, or even like the fire campaigns, all of that, every damn dollar has to be accounted for with names, addresses, and actually business information.
Yeah, fortunately, we're not a political.
I know, we're not a political, but there's a reason for it.
I myself do not support anonymous donations. I think that I would like to know who gives, and I would like the people to know who is giving to the council. I think it makes us more accountable and more transparent. And that's all. Just make it very simple. I'm against accepting anonymous donations.
The donations are not anonymous. We know who donates. So please don't use that term.
Okay, so you're saying
Donations confidential.
oh, the donation. So we just So the difference is that we don't make the name, we know who gave the money,
right?
but we don't make it public.
If they don't want us to. Do you think a person has a right to do that?
So it remains anonymous to the public.
Correct.
I don't know. What do you think, Karen?
No,
No. Aline?
I'm like torn. I I'm trying to decide right now. I'm like I see Charles' point where it's like some people, don't want, some people don't like it because I even see it on like GoFundMe for just like funeral expenses because they think that, if they see their name there, it's an ego thing, you're showing it off or whatever. They don't even want, just donate the money. But then I see other where, also if they don't want their name for whatever, kind of a respect thing to not do that, because of the kind of climate that we live in. I honestly just wrote a speech or a talk that I'm going to be giving on environmental justice in Oceano. And I've felt myself intimidated in this political atmosphere that we're in. Uh, Unfortunately, there's a lot of intimidation and all that going on. Um, and some people are, don't want, or can be kind of hateful and intimidating. Um, but, sometimes I felt like I don't want to do this anymore. But my faith is the only thing that kept me, giving me the courage to continue because sometimes, it gets pretty ugly. So I'm kind of torn,
Mm.
and it's just I can't expect other people to like have the faith I do, because even my own mother, who has strong faith, has told me sometimes it's like you're kind of crazy, Aline. You don't you fear for your life? Well, I love life, but I love justice more. So
So
I don't.
let's say hypothetically, I wanted to donate $2,000 to the Oceano Advisory Council
Mhm.
so it could continue doing business. I'm not willing to see it fall apart, but I want to do that anonymously.
Yes.
So Karen, Lucia, you would not want to accept that money for the council.
I'd be uncomfortable with it.
Excuse me, Karen?
I said I would be uncomfortable with it. I do think it needs some more time. We need to discuss it, not make a decision tonight.
I agree.
But I just,
Yeah.
the problem is not you.
Well, I know, but with the,
That's not a good example.
well, but why should we go with the negative example rather than the positive one? Because people donating to us, like I said, well, we can have more discussion. If there's suspicious persons, if anybody has a question about it, then we bring it up. Otherwise, well, you know how I think.
Yeah.
So so I would say since we just have 3 minutes left, we'll continue this discussion of it, but getting a GoFundMe thing started on Facebook. Now that's something that we can do.
Yes.
And we can do it pretty easily, but we need, Aline and I, well, I don't know if Lucia was in on it, wanted to, but we met with April and we both, Aline and I said, we want to be made administrators of the Facebook account. So far that hasn't happened. April has said she hasn't been able to do it. Although I don't know, both of the techniques she said she was supposed to do should have worked for me, because I both am I liked the Facebook our Facebook page, so I am part of it. I'm linked to it, which I thought was what April said. And then my email is correct, and I have a Facebook account. That was the other way to get in. So I'm confused. I don't know, Alina, if you've gotten any specific feedback from her.
I didn't have much time to do a lot of, trying to see how I could get that going. But it should have worked for me with the Mylene via yahoo.com, but I've had that for a while. I don't know if that's the issue that needs to be updated or something. I don't know. It,
Yeah.
it should have worked for me because also I did like her. I'm going to try to, she said that another way to do it is to befriend her, to have her as a friend on Facebook. So I will be requesting her as a friend on Facebook. And so to try to do it that way, so we'll figure out a way to get on our Facebook. But I believe we could do the GoFundMe, set it. I've never set it up before, but I did look into it. Doesn't seem too difficult. We do need the bank account, and we could start it posting it on not necessarily our Facebook page. We could start posting it on Oceano Neighbors, which I am an administrator on, posting it on Oceano Unido, which I also, and OBCA, and other places. We don't have to start with our Facebook page, but it would be nice to have it on our Facebook page also.
Well, yeah, and I don't understand why would we have to like April's personal Facebook page in order to become an administrator of the
I have no idea, and I can't speak to that,
Yeah,
Charles.
me either.
I'm not on Facebook, so
Yeah.
I'm not there, sorry.
Oh, yeah, but we should be able to do a GoFundMe soon and start getting donations out.
Okay.
And what does that have to do with the anonymous donations? Because those who do the fund me option are anonymous?
I think some of them on
I think
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe can be anonymous. Yeah.
Yeah, so we would have to be okay with that or do a filter or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, okay, so
Look
let's,
into that part of it.
okay. All right,
So could I have someone motion to adjourn the meeting?
yes, I second.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Okay,
We adjourn the meeting at 7:17. Well done.
okay.
Thank you, everyone.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hi, thank you.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.